education is not just about preparing young people for the future. It is about helping to create a future worth living in. So, let us go forward boldly and dance the night away!
Welcome back to Coffee and Geography and GroundEd. In part 1, we arrived, reconnected, and began to rethink what education is for. In part 2, we move into practice, what this looks like in classrooms, school grounds, and young people's lives, and in ourselves.
Right, so that's the trailer for the show. So there's 6 episodes, they're all on YouTube, they're all free, and on our website we've got lesson plans that go along with each one.
Awesome.
So what we're going to do today is just going to do a few exercises I would do with the children. It's not going to be like all singing, all dancing like I might do. I'm just going to dial it down. I don't have to dial it down. But what we'll do is start, if you could get into just the pairs, we'll just do a warm up. All right, so now we're just gonna move into, so this is how I do the greenhouse effect with young people. Because they don't know it, and that's not their fault, but it just sort of blows my mind sometimes when you go into like year 5 or 6 and they never do it. But again, not their fault, it's not in the curriculum, it's not being taught. So do you mind if I sculpt you? So what I'll be doing is I'll be touching your arms, your back, and your leg below the knees. So, okay. Yep. Okay, so you're going to be in pairs, so we're going to make a sculpture garden, all right? So one person will be the sculptor, the other person will be the clay. If you like, actually, I prefer that I wasn't sculpted. You can do it vocally, so you can move your arm like that. So that's totally optional. And then we'll move on to light. So sunlight. So a ray of sunlight. How would a ray of sunlight move? And I've got some words to help us with that. So glowing, golden, dazzling, and brilliant. Okay. Is anybody feeling brave enough to show us their ray of sunlight? I can also model first, if that's
I can model as well.
Yeah, okay. Would you like to show us your ray of sunlight, please?
Right, noise is allowed, or has it got to be silent?
I will go for silent. So you can move across to there and back again as your ray of sunlight.
Okay.
Oh.
Amazing.
Fantastic. And then back again, please. Yeah. Great, so we've got our light, we've got our heat. But now we need our greenhouse gases. Okay? Yeah, our greenhouse gases.
Right.
So we're not going to move across the circle, but it'd be great if someone could maybe show me like what a statue of a greenhouse gas might look like. I'd like to have a go at that. I'll tell you what we'll do is I'll say 1, 2, 3, go, and we'll all do one each. Okay, so just think in your head with those icky, I might have some adjectives to help us today. Yes, polluting, toxic, smelly, and dangerous. Okay? So on my count, we're going to see statues of these greenhouse gases. And 1, 2, 3, go. Lovely. Okay, what I'd like to do now is like a crab, just move from side to side as our greenhouse gases. Yeah, just move to side to side. Lovely. And then back to our places in the circle. Brilliant. These greenhouse gases, they're everywhere. All right. Could I please just have a volunteer to be Planet Earth? It's a very easy job. Yes. Could you please stand here and you're going to be Planet Earth? And we have, let's say, 3 people who would like to be sunlight. Could I volunteer you because you came up with us? That was so good. Could you go and stand over just in there, if that's all right? Sunshine as well. Beautiful. Can I have one more, please? One more. Lovely. Thank you. All right. So if we just shift the circle a little bit, so sunlight has a bit, and Planet Earth, can I just move you? If only were that easy. So what will happen is you're going to turn and face the. We have the sun coming from here. And we've got number 1, 2, and 3. So I'll call number 1, and you'll come in as your sunlight, and you'll high five the Earth, and then you'll turn to heat, and you will move around in space, around the atmosphere. Okay. So 1, you'll do it. And I call 2, you'll do it. 3, you'll do it. Okay. Nice gentle high five. Always have to remind children that. All right, and 1. All right, so what will happen is I will say 1, 2, 3, go. We're going to be our greenhouse gases, okay? The sunlight will come through, high five the earth, turn to heat, and try and escape back to space, but the greenhouse gases will come across, side to side, to stop the sunlight from getting out. So if you could come across and stop me, I can't get out there, so I'm going to go through this gap here, but that can't happen, okay? That's what we're going to do. All right, so we've got 1, 2, and 3. Are you ready, Planet Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, double high fives. You've got a choice of right, left, or right hand. All right, and number 1. And number 2. Yes. Greenhouse gases will go on board. Number 3.
Transfixed by the movement.
I'll tell you what, one can escape. One's escaped. That's you. Oh, one has escaped. Oh no. You may escape. All right. Great. And pause there. Right. So that is how I teach the greenhouse effect. So I put it in their bodies. Are you all right?
Yeah. Should we get some water?
You did a fantastic job. Thank you.
You're right back.
Yeah, so I think I find that you sort of put it in their bodies, and it's a bit of a game where they're trying to get the heat to not escape. So we'll move on to heat waves now. So this is just a question for everyone. What is a heat wave? What do we think a heat wave is?
Like an extreme weather event, is it?
Extreme weather events. Any other advances? Extended period of high temperatures. You pretty much got it spot on, yeah. So I say to the kids, it's basically a few days in a row where it's hotter than normal, okay? Oh, I should say. So this is the diagram I've got of the greenhouse effect. So this is just to back up what we did physically. We've got sunlight coming in, bouncing off, and got the greenhouse gases here. So heat waves. So I say to the children, so you're going to come up with an invention to cool down a whole city. All right? And there are 4 main ways of doing it. You've got water, greenery, ventilation, and shade. So water, bathing and drinking, but also having water features. Shade, so things that block out the sun. Ventilation, the movement of air. And greenery, so they provide shade, but also just having greenery around brings the temperature down. And so I say to the children, you're going to get one on a piece of paper like this, and you're going to come up with a heat wave invention, or heat wave mitigation invention, to cool the whole city down. And I really want you to use your imagination. Like, don't worry about money or the laws of physics. It's just like whatever your brain comes up with. Okay?
So what's your idea?
We've got a few. So, a wet scarf, so everyone walks around with a wet scarf. We've got every time after dinner, everyone has a big water fight. And then we've got like something kind of like this, but it's like thicker on the roof, and this is someone's house. It's like a living house.
Tree canopy kind of hobbit hole, basically.
Yeah.
I love it. Free, the next manifesto should be, free super soakers.
Super soaker time.
But only permitted between the hottest parts of the day, so 12 till 12. And there should be a text alert on your phone to say super soaker time.
Like them. When they tested them, like alarms, like warning alarms, should be that.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. You put that down. That's amazing.
Right, so the first one, here we go. It's too hot. Sorry. Luckily, we have a new invention called the city canopy. Now everything is cooled down. Superb. Here we go, well done. Okay, back into the circle. What a lovely commercial. I'll definitely buy that invention. With freeze frames, probably in hindsight, I could have maybe warmed you up a little bit. For that, but with kids, if you give them that timer, it's so much better than giving them 2 minutes, because they just spend too much. They might spend too much time arguing with each other, but they just have to get.
And you'll get 1 or 2 kids who dominate.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you do that with the whole class then?
I put them into groups. Yeah. Probably. I reckon.
Find the map. So yeah, the National Education Nature Park, for those who are kind of new to it, is part of the Department for Education in England's sustainability strategy. It was launched in 2022. That's very much focused on looking at the potential for nature recovery and developing biodiversity across the education estate. There were some really nice comments about the education estate earlier, and how well, from two aspects. It's very unknown. We don't know what's there. It's ecologically unsurveyed, but also, general idea is it could be quite nature poor. We have these big fields and lots of grey space, etc. So the idea is, or the aims of the programme, of developing biodiversity across the education estate, but that to be led by the learners in those education settings.
Can I say the fact?
Say the fact.
Say the fact. So if you were to add all the school estate grounds together in England, it would equate to twice the size of Birmingham. And why that fact is really, really pertinent is because this is a fantastic way of showing that if we're doing our little bit in our school grounds, we're kind of putting a hedge in here, a tree here, a pond here, whatever like that. If that's done collectively, we're making changes the size of a small national park. Mm-hmm. So what's really good, and when you get the kids involved and you were to show them the map, what I tend to do is that I show them a neighbouring school who has done it, and I say, look, some of you probably know families and kids who go to that school. Look what they're doing. If you were to get to do it at your school as well, you're joining. It's almost like you're joining up, and birds will fly. Creatures will find ways to get from one to the other. You're creating. So it gets that sense that saying act local, you go global. So it plays to that perfectly. And
it's certainly doing that across, particularly over urban areas as well, really creating those green corridors and connecting schools up. So
some of the London ones are amazing,
and the idea is, from that, once settings have gone out and done that initial habitat surveys, that they interrogate that data, they look at that and go, what have we got, and also what haven't we got, where could we bring further opportunities for nature, and for the learners to lead on identifying opportunities and planning change. So there's again lots of tools there for planning a project, and guidance around bringing interventions to your school ground, for example, how to develop a patch of wildflower meadow, or how to plant bulbs, or install ponds if you wanted to go bigger, etc. So there's lots of practical guidance there as well, and the rationale and the impact of why that's a good thing to bring to your school grounds. So the pupils kind of lead on that as far as possible, be involved in the build and the plants as much as possible. So they're really having that agency over that space outside that they know obviously very well. So again, this is all very much learner involvement in the power of data, and we really emphasise that of one thing that we can really do for nature is gather knowledge about it and feed that to organisations like the National Biodiversity Network, who hold that biodiversity data set from iNaturalist, and all of that data is it's power.
The data can be used to tell a story. Nature, nature can't speak for itself, but if we've got the data, my little thing is the data gives us information. Information gives us knowledge, and knowledge is power. So it can be a voice for nature. So,
exactly. The aspects, but one of the other key parts of the programme, which has been talked about a lot, is the power of nature and well-being. So there is it's one of the core aims, that getting learners outside more and bringing more nature to their site, and the advantages of that for their well-being. This kind of links back into that, doesn't it? The sort of the well-being and being creative. So we're going to focus on making zines for nature.
So does anyone got any history of zines at all, or do you know about them? I mean, back in the days of punk, zines were big, and it was a way of communicating and just expressing yourself. Reasons they're important, it's like anybody can make them, so it's a really accessible activity. They can tell stories, they can reach people that might not otherwise know about a particular subject. They can be a way to express yourself and share a real life story, and they can be sort of agents of change. Just to get started, the sort of things to think about, and we can just leave this out, are who's your audience? Who are you wanting to read your zine and look at it? And that could even just be you. It might just be you wanting to express yourself. What is it you want to talk about in your zine? That's the kind of big issue. But then can you sort of break it down into particular problems that you could maybe address in a little bit more detail in your zine? And so what? Why should your audience care? Can you get a bit of persuasion in there? And have you got some solutions? Can you also sort of have a little bit of an overarching story? And what benefits, for example, what benefits might happen if your solutions were implemented?
This is how it looks in the end. So we've brought, there's teeny tiny ones if you make it out of A4. So that's your front cover. And then once you've folded it, you'll have a little 8-page booklet like that. And that's where you stick things and write things, etc. So there's a little one. It's transformational, it is. It's turning a piece of paper into a magazine. Look at that. So you... Exactly. Is everyone getting there? You should have, and it doesn't matter. I mean, one of the actual instructions on the PowerPoint is don't be precious about your zine. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit wonky.
Yeah.
I can see this being a really good regulation activity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, if that one child that's just had an overwhelming day.
Yeah.
You can sit and have some quiet time to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zine, not zones of regulation.
Zines of regulation.
Oh, wow. Oh, I think we're going to go into the zine zone.
So just going around bottom, like this bit.
Like that bit, yeah. Do that again with that one.
Just the big one.
Yeah, just the big one. Just to catch those there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then go down the way.
Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
It looks like DNA.
Excellent.
Yes, doesn't it look like DNA?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Lovely.
We're making scientific DNA
1033.
thingy majiggies.
Heal it.
Can the birds perch on it? Yes. Can you put stuff inside it? Yes.
Thank you. So you can like stuff it that way.
The thing to do now is
Yeah.
trim off. And I have got some secateurs here. They're not all grey, but you know, alright.
Absolutely certain they'll be better than any of the secateurs that I've got at home. Some of mine are several generations old.
Yeah.
But don't cut those little feet off.
Those ones.
No, because what they act
Cutting those
is,
off, yes.
yeah, cut them off. Make sure everything's nice and tight and it's not going to sort of come apart. And then you can just sort of tidy it. You know.
What I really love about this is just amazing what you can do
With a little template.
with a block of wood and 4 holes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Isn't it?
I don't think you can really do much about that.
Yeah. What crafts we've lost over the years, eh?
Tidy it very
So pretty.
like I said, the tiniest bird we can watch.
And then these ends that I've tied in a knot, Alice.
See why can't they do this in secondary DT?
I can do it.
You can make your.
It's like you make your own bases.
Make their own base, yeah.
And then, as part of an extension project for the kid for an extension task, say, right, what could you do with this block? Where could you put different holes to get different shapes and get them to design?
And you can do it with 5 holes as well as 4.
We could do this at primary.
Yeah.
I've just written guidance on tools. Drill.
In fact, you know what would be also good for the kids doing GCSE, because they've got to do CAD and CAM, CAD designs. They could actually probably do a kind of like a digital thing. Well, if I was to put 5 or 6 holes in here, this is what it would look like, or something. It's just so much. All this nonsense about we can't put this stuff in the curriculum. You bloody well can. and practice led naturally to agency, how young people move from concern into action.
Am I all right? I just want to talk a little bit then before I finish about my current work at Global Action Plan, because that is working with secondary school pupils, and we did some. I didn't. My colleagues, my wonderful colleagues at Global Action Plan, did some research with the University of Bath. And they did some work with a group of, it was over 1,000 young people. I've got some notes to make sure I get my facts right. On the values perception gap. I don't know if anybody has come across this work before or heard anything vaguely along the lines of. So they spoke to over 1,000 young people across the country and spoke to them about values that they held that were important to them. And the headline figures from it were that 95% of the people that they spoke to have values along the lines of wanting to protect the environment, wanting to help others, world peace, all of those really sort of lovely, sort of warm, fuzzy feeling inside. They want to do well, they want to do good by other people and for themselves and for the planet. What was really interesting though is that 77% of that same group of young people believe that they care more about these things than their peers do, which introduces this values perception gap, and this idea that young people are out there thinking that they're the only ones that care about these things, when actually the research has shown they're absolutely not. So the findings from this study provide a really powerful opportunity for educators, because when young people realise how much they actually have in common with each other, it strengthens their connection, it strengthens the feeling of hope, it encourages them to take action, like we're sort of discussing for the whole weekend. And so the issue isn't that they haven't got the values in the first place. I think the issue is that it's a lack of visibility of shared values. And again, going back to particularly talking about that secondary school age group, about like, it's not cool it's probably not cool to say it's not cool, is it? But it's not the done thing to care about nature when you're at secondary school, because that's not what everybody else is doing. When actually deep down inside, if you speak to them on a one-to-one basis, they do care about these things. And it's thinking that the challenge is, how do we make those values more visible? And Good Life Schools is a programme that I lead on in the North East. It's a lottery funded project, and I work with schools in Durham and in Redcar and Cleveland, and it comes in two parts. So I support it's an after school or a lunchtime club mostly, and I support the teachers to deliver a series of resourced sessions which are all about exploring the idea that in order to be happy, we need to buy more and more stuff, because that's the message we are sold everywhere we go. Consumption, consumption, consumption. You need the latest X, the latest Y. You need to get this to be popular, to be happy. Everywhere you look, we're bombarded with advertising. We look at the impact of that on people. So thinking about their mental health, the pressure, cost of living crisis. You've got. We've just finished, I think, prom season. When did prom become a thing in this country? Look at the state it's in now. The pressure that parents are put under to spend. It's in the region like between £500 and £1,000, but possibly more, that people are spending on dresses and hair and makeup and nails and a limousine, and you have to do it because everybody else is doing it. And so we explore that, the impact that has on well-being, and we encourage them, more importantly, I think this is probably the most important thing that they get from the programme, we encourage them to be critical consumers and to question, like, actually, do I want that? Why do I think I want that thing? Why do I think I want that latest makeup item? Why do I think I want to spend whatever silly money on a pair of trainers? Like, who's telling me that? Is it actually going to make me happy? Or am I just being bombarded with advertising everywhere, and somebody else, and ultimately the somebody else are the people who are making the goods because they want to make money from you buying them. So then we couple that, we call that section the goods life, because it's all about buying goods, and then we say, well, actually, what does make us happy? And we look at the good life, and we get them to think about something called the 6 ways to well-being. So I can't remember them all, I know there's only 6, but
It's something like connecting with others, volunteering, learning new things, taking part in hobbies, spending time with friends and family. It's all the stuff that we all know actually does make us happy and does make us feel sort of fulfilled. And then we team them up. I team them up with a local community partner. They come up with a project themselves, so it's youth led. They say, right, what's important to us at our school? What issue would we like to tackle? And then I team them up with a local business, trying to use non-profits and small businesses where possible to support them to deliver that project. So in the last 2 years in the Northeast, I have had a school tell me, we're sick of throwing uniform away because it rips or a button falls off. And it absolutely blew my mind that was happening, but the skills aren't necessarily there in the parents to or the time or the money or whatever the barriers are, that it's easier, cheaper to buy another cheap shirt from the supermarket than to sew a button back on. So these kids said, this is ridiculous, can we learn how to sew buttons and things on? So we teamed them up, a volunteer came in, she taught them how to sew buttons, take up hems on trousers. They now run a uniform repair shop in their school. On a completely different sort of side of it, because the projects can really be anything that are good for people and planet. I've got quite a few schools who are building outdoor learning spaces or outdoor peace gardens or just nice nature connection spaces where they can sit with their friends or they can go out in a small group with their teacher and do some learning. We've got schools working on food waste projects. We've got schools who have bought, because we give them a bit of funding, one of those machines that melts down waste plastic, and then they're making coasters and all sorts of things that they're then selling and using the profits either for charity or to put back into the project. They're doing amazing things because we've supported them to be able to do that. Now, obviously our programme is funded and they have me to support. So one of the challenges for me in my role is in year 3 as we go into year 3 of the project is to think, how do we make this programme accessible for schools without a me there to support them and without the money that we give them? And that's, again, something I haven't got the answer to, but hopefully by the end of next year we'll have got a little bit closer to finding out.
Now yesterday I was really, I suppose, emotionally moved by what was going on here. And it made me reflect upon what I was going to say this morning. Because I thought, what do you say to people who are already on the journey and who already have such wonderful things to offer? Because I was hearing some fantastic stuff. And I was like, right, I'm probably one of the people who's been in this game for the longest. So I've been 30 years doing sustainability education. When I first started, I was considered a little bit crazy. Even my own parents told me I was a little bit crazy. Up until about 10 years ago, they still believed I was crazy. And then when everything kicked off with Greta Thunberg, they actually had turned to me and went, oh, you were right. Yeah. So I had a moment of reflection thinking, what can I give these people who already have so much knowledge and wealth? And so I settled on 3 things. If Catherine's in the room or right there and about, you will get this. 3 things popped into my mind, and they were hope, inspiration, and community. But I think that the climate awareness is there now done. So when we saw the big shift, mainly through Fridays for the Future and Greta Thunberg, it was child-driven, that change in awareness. I then said to the team, right, now we need to do action. We need to enable people to take action because we've told them something's happened and we're going to end up with lots of anxious people if we don't actually now say, right, here's what we can do about it. So that's where our shift came, because we didn't want to lead to anxiety. So, okay, part of the reason for doing this exercise is because we quite often acknowledge that we have climate or eco-anxiety, and we acknowledge that our children are experiencing it, but we're not very good at sharing our coping mechanisms. And I think if we're going to support young people and enable them to deal with this, we need to understand how we're coping with it. So, going on to young people and mental health, last year I did a PGCE. I really wanted to understand the sector that I was working in better. And if I'm being completely frank, I needed a break after so many years of banging the climate drum and trying to drive things forwards. I was burnt out, so I think I'm probably the one person that I know who did a PGCE for a break, and it was. I know, the teachers in the room are like, what? So I'm going to just read for you, because I took the opportunity as well to do some research around my area of interest. And I'm going to read for you some stats. We got some really good ones yesterday. I'm going to read you just a few more. So this was from the paper that I did for my final assignment. I haven't brought it all, it's not this big. Okay, so mine was mainly focused around geography, because that's my specialism. But I'm just going to read out a few little highlights. Recent studies have shown that poor childhood mental health is at an all-time high in UK society. It is acknowledged in both the ITT core content framework and in the teacher standards. There has always been the notion that if children feel safe, supported and are emotionally well regulated, they learn better. So it is in teachers' interests to ensure that this is the case. But although there's a link between pupil mental health and learning, there's currently a paucity of climate education research in the how to do it. And this is something that I grappled with over the years, is I wanted to be honest with children. I didn't want climate change to just happen to them. But how do you do it in a way that doesn't scare, excuse me, the shit out of them? And that's a big question to answer. And I'm hoping that through today we might actually get some of those answers, because I'm still not 100% sure. Okay, and I don't think we can ignore those feelings, but we need to know what we do with them. So again, did lots of research. And I'm going to do a disservice to this person's name, but it's spelled O-J-A-L-A. They seem to be the person who was doing a lot of research in this area.
Maria Rajala, yeah.
Wonderful. Go to Kit for how you pronounce it. And their narrative is very much one of hope. And they said that, generally speaking, children and adults, from listening to the room, have three ways of coping. They have the problem-focused coping, where they try to actively understand the issue and do something about it. Emotion-focused coping, where they deny that it's happening and they distance themselves. Or the meaning-focused coping, where they try to ascribe some deeper meaning to those feelings and give themselves some agency. I'm probably in the third one. I'm trying to develop some form of deeper meaning to what's going on. She recognised that the emotion-focused denial was maladaptive, but the problem-focused and meaning-focused were good coping strategies. And she counselled that we need to instill hope in our climate education in the classroom. It needs to be solution-based discussions, which we said, yeah, we need to discuss it. We need to have those open discussions, honest discussions. We need to explore different and desirable futures and pathways to reach these goals. Now we know that in the way the current curriculum is, and also the fact that it's a knowledge-rich curriculum and it's very subject-focused, that doesn't engender this type of education. So it's just about how we can make strides to do so. I know when I was doing my PGCE, that was one of the things that I tried to do a little bit more of, instead of just going from the PowerPoint, trying to do a bit more discussion. But also, a lot of people in this room, you're educators, you go in and out of schools, so that's maybe our role to encourage that discussion. If it's not a way that teachers can teach at the moment because of the curriculum, that's our role. Okay. So, The classroom environment provides the ideal setting to discuss, acknowledge and normalise these negative emotions. So to acknowledge that it's okay to feel this way so that people don't feel alone. And the young people who were interviewed, through the bits of research that I found from internationally really, because I had to go that far, young people needed to feel listened to. They needed to know that the educators shared their climate concerns, and they needed action to follow. And that was the key thing that came out all of the time, is it couldn't just be a discussion and something you talked about. Action had to follow. And that's what Emma's going to talk about. And it was a means of getting the whole school community, because I think we talked about yesterday the fact that this can't be done in isolation. You need the whole school community, children, parents, governors, everybody, to take climate action, and it provided a framework, ideas for things that they could do. This came before the climate action plans, but now it's very useful for forming the climate action plans. So I'm going to hand you over to Emma now, because I'm sure you're all bored of my voice, and she's going to take you through what Climate Friendly Schools is, and then we're going to do something a little bit more interactive outside.
Thank you, Joe. So, hello again everybody. Many of you in this room will have heard of Climate Friendly Schools before, and many of you have even been involved in it. So what we would suggest, after I've done a little bit of an introduction, is that if you've had some kind of involvement as a school or as a provider, if you can possibly just be helpful to the people who are doing the activity when we are outside, because you've got a little bit of inside information. So as Joe suggested, Climate Friendly Schools is a programme developed by Oases to enable that practical action. So for the young people and also the adults involved in schools to be able to have that empowerment, to be able to put actions in place and to feel like they're actually contributing to positive change in order, hopefully, to try and allay some of their climate anxiety. So in order to make this quite straightforward for schools, we obviously developed a programme for them to follow, and there is a website attached to it as well. So for all of you heading back to schools or other organisations, you can obviously share the website and things with them. We've got lots of lovely posters that will pop out on the ground for you to have a look at with the website details and things on. And basically what it is a process that you would follow in order to become a climate friendly school. And at the end of that process, there is kind of an awarding situation where we review the evidence that the schools send in, and we will award you with your climate friendly status. And that means that you will get a logo, a pin on an interactive map on the website, a social media post, and so on, a lovely certificate to say when you took part. And as Joe mentioned, the idea of Oases is so that we can essentially do ourselves out of a job. So it's not just a kind of one-stop shop where we would want people to participate just once. What we would hope would be that the programme would be continued throughout every single academic year, so that schools can continue to be awarded for making improvements on their baseline, so that they would continue to add to their climate action plan and continue their practical actions. So it basically starts with the formation of a climate action team, and as Joe suggested, that needs to involve as many people as possible in school, definitely children and young people, governors, parents, wider community if possible, teachers, teaching assistants, premises managers, kitchen staff, as many people as you can possibly involve. But again, we are realistic and we appreciate that all of those people can't be involved all of the time. But if there are regular meetings where minutes are being taken and shared, it means that everybody in that school and wider community can continue to be involved. And the climate action team are the people who would essentially have those discussions that Joe talked about, but also they would be the ones who agree the actions so that they have that level of empowerment and practical activity. As part of the climate action plan, we also need an audit, or more than one audit in this case, because we need to understand where we're starting from. So all the schools that we've worked with are all at different places on their sustainability and climate change journey. So everybody needs to know the baseline. And in order to do that, we've developed some audit tools that sit on the website, And if you register on the website, it's completely free for you to do so. You can access the audit tools, and they are through 7 different themes which we'll put out for you to have a little look at. And for each one of those themes, you would answer some questions in relation to your school, and that would then generate some answers for you in terms of the actions that you could then take to improve from the baseline that you're currently at. So once you've done that and it's provided you with some feedback, you're then in a position to complete your climate action plan. So there's a framework and a template for you to do that. I know there's lots of those available, so it's up to schools to determine which one is the most appropriate for them. Then once you have created your action plan, it's all about putting those actions in place. So depending on whether you want to do that independently or whether we have funding to support the Oasis staff to come in and help you with that, we work our way through all of the actions on your plan. And for a minimum of 10 practical actions that the school has participated in is part of their action plan, they can then submit evidence to us, which we will review and hopefully be able to provide you with your climate friendly school status. So there's lots of parts to it, but what we wanted to do, again, as Joe said, rather than keep you cooped up in this tent, we're going to have a little look at what some of the actions might be. So we have these large posters based on each of the themes, and what we're going to do is pop them out on the grass outside, and we've got a ton of post-it notes and pens, and we're going to see what actions you think, whether it be as an individual, an organisation or a school, depending on who you're representing here today. If you can just pop your suggestions on the posters, the schools who've already taken part, you'll have a little bit of a head start, you'll be able to pop things down. And we've also got some examples that we've printed out and brought with us today to show you kind of the breadth of examples of what different schools have done as they've been involved in the project. So it just means we can get you outside and get you doing something a little bit more active. Right, thank you so much everybody for your active participation in that final piece of this workshop. I know many people have been taking photographs of the posters with the post-it notes on. Josh is going to collect them in, and what we'll do is we'll assimilate them and we'll get the information back to Meryl, and then she can share with everyone who's part of the festival so that you get all of the feedback. And there are some little handouts and things and an Oasis brochure there just to give you a bit of an idea about everything else that we can offer. So if you want to pick one of them up on your way back out of the tent at the end, that would be great. Thank you.
And Beth's done a lot of case studies. She's delivered to lots and lots of Climate Friendly Schools, and they're going to be appearing on the Climate Friendly Schools website soon. So thank you very much for doing that. Hopefully you have, where is Jeff? Is he around? Hopefully you've oyster catched.
There he is.
Oyster caught. Lots of ideas. So, I said at the beginning that I was going to focus on hope, inspiration and community. I'm hoping that from our discussion and our sharing that you are now feeling a little bit more hopeful. I'm hoping that all of the ideas that you've picked up will give you some inspiration to then take away and deliver yourselves. If you're a school, please access Climate Friendly Schools, it's free. If you are a practitioner, again, it's a free resource for you to use. You can take it into the schools that you're working with and use it. We don't want to be precious about it. We want everybody to just take it away and do it with their schools. Finally, there's the community bit. And again, because I'm quite long in the tooth of doing this, I've seen government agendas change over time. I was actually part of the team that helped pull the Sustainable School Strategy together back in 2006, when the then Labour government was interested in integrating climate into campus, curriculum and community. Obviously, politicisation of the curriculum, that all got binned when the Tories came in. And we're now at a point where it's surging again, which is great and really, really hopeful. And there's people in this room who are climate ambassadors or North East Nature Park. And there's a website which is trying to draw it all together, which I had to look up because I have to admit I hadn't used it. which is sustainabilitysupportforeducation.org.uk. So these things are existing now, but the political scene is obviously, I don't know how you would describe it, it's becoming polarised, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I want you to remember this moment, this community that lovely Meryl has brought together, that I tried over the years to do. So kudos to you, Meryl, you managed it, I didn't.
Live music at a bar.
That was the key, damn it. But these are the people that you will draw strength from in the future, because we don't know what lies ahead. And so thank you for being part of that movement. And as Catherine talked about yesterday about the cracks, there is a crack at the moment. Let's make it as big as possible to get that culture change shifted, so that if there are dark days ahead and reform does get in and everything gets binned, we've still got our community to draw from, and we can still be bastions of hope for the young people in our care. Thank you very much.
I'm going to fight for the microphone. I always feel like I should justify where the name came from. We got criticised quite heavily early on because people were like, it sounds really religious. I'm like, no. It's that someone who is in Dale's team used to work for Jamie Oliver on his school food project, and that was called the Ministry of Food. So there was a kind of, we'll just call this the Ministry of. I'm going to be quite candid and tell you a sort of personal story, and we want to take you on a journey, and not from a kind of sycophantic, I want to tell you all about myself, but instead I want us to use that journey as an opportunity to reflect on our own path, and hopefully you're going to spot lots of parallels and similar moments. So when I tell you this story, I want you to think, I had a similar experience, or I thought the same at that moment. So that's what we're looking for, is hopefully there's things that ring true of everyone across the room. Just also to frame this, I'm going to kind of take up the first 15 minutes. We're then going to explore some questions, and then Tess is going to take us on another kind of journey into a dream space. So there's sort of three elements to this. What I also want to do is speak to a couple of the themes that have been mentioned across the 2 days. Firstly, to Jeff's oyster catcher reference. And I want to take that also a step further as well, to think that as well as it's sort of finding beautiful things in the work of other people and holding on to those, it's also about releasing the things that we create and not holding on to them too tightly. I think there's a danger that people can become very hold on to the ideas that they have, and instead, kind of like a bird, we can release them, and we don't quite know where that might go. And also then, to Catherine's point, and hopefully this rings through the story that I'm going to tell you, that idea that those two things of everything all at once, as well as the here and now, and the what we also have within our own control, and how those two things can happen kind of simultaneously. I also want to add another two themes that are hopefully going to come through. The idea of embracing uncertainty and not quite knowing what's going to happen, and I think that's true of Meryl and the planning for this event. And I know that there's been some mention of kind of, if you build it, they'll come. I think there was this uncertainty quite a few months ago. What happens if no one turns up? My other theme that I want to add to it is also that sense of the art of the possible. The idea that actually there is so much potential in our situations, in our own circumstances, and there can often be naysayers and people who say that's not possible, but actually, anything is possible, and we should focus on that concept. I guess the bit I then wanted to get onto was the questions. So in terms of the way that we have framed this curriculum, I've always taught as a geographer in a really inquiry approach kind of focused way. And it's these sorts of questions that form the basis of what the Ministry of Eco-Education is. So there's this bigger framework, and underneath that loads of big questions, and we think these are the questions that young people should be exploring. They're the big broad societal questions that we don't have the answers to, but as a society we need to kind of work it out. And why not engage young people? You know, fundamentally they're a really important part of society. Let's engage them in that process. So we're going to spend probably about 5 or 10 minutes exploring these questions, and the way we're going to do it is share them out so that you're in a pair and you're going to talk about the questions and think about how you respond to them. What do you think of that question? How might you go about answering it? What would you need to know? What could you do? So this is going to be a chance to explore those questions. You just finish your conversations.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have a question that they thought that's a really powerful question and every young person should explore this? Did anyone put your hand up if you thought your question was really powerful? Liz, can I go over and... Yeah. Where does our food come from? We all eat 3 times a day, maybe. We all need food to live, and it's an important question to explore. What kinds of things might we need to go into to answer that or to explore it?
We were talking a lot about the power of growing, going through the process of like planting a seed, growing, talking about like the consistency needed to keep on watering, keep on looking after it, and kind of just seeing sort of the journey and the effort that goes into that food. It's not just a case of people buying it from the shop and it's on the plate, but actually what's gone into it. But we also talked about it then supporting children to actually try a more varied diet themselves, because if they've grown it themselves, then they'll be more likely to taste it themselves.
Mm-hmm. It sounds really interesting. I like a lot of what you've just raised there. It's quite experiential. It's about the students engaging, participating in activities that kind of, they then explore that learning themselves. Does anyone know an organisation that does anything with food? Or anyone that might be in the room that might do anything with food? Maybe a guy called Martin there with ProVeg. Oh, by chance. And Vine. And then we've also, I know we've got people from RHS, and those resources and organisations are all kind of linked into that. So when teachers access this on the website, it's like a menu of opportunity, and it's about inspiring them to have this thought process, to think about this when they're planning or kind of going to teach this stuff. I think we might one more question before we pass over. Kit.
What is climate justice? I mean, that's a huge one which has got massive amounts of nuance, but I think it's really important. We think it's really important for young people because, truth has to be spoken to power, and the only way we're going to kind of like, the climate crisis is a capitalist crisis. It's been brought on by capitalism and power structures and imbalance of power, and the most vulnerable out of the group are the young people. So they need to be aware of that and be able to be empowered to know where the cracks are, like it's been said previously, finding those cracks in the system to adjust, to bring justice back.
Yeah, and I think actually a lot of people would say the idea of climate justice is where we should be beginning. A lot of people begin with the science of, what's the mechanics of this? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's more fundamental things that we should start with that underpin all of this. And again, a lot of what we're trying to do with the Ministry of Eco-Education is nudge people past those more superficial ideas of turning off lights and recycling, and instead saying there's a far more fundamental thing underpinning all of this. Yes. We've got a workshop that we often do called Who Holds the Power? Who's got the power? And saying that actually climate change is a symptom of a wider power imbalance, and that permeates all of these questions and the approach as well.
Okay. Paul and I are now going to do something completely different, and we're going to invite you on a journey into the future, to a future school. We work with a wonderful man called Rob Hopkins, and he's written lots of books. He's an amazing English man and an environmentalist and an activist. I heard someone mention Totnes here this weekend, and he lives there. And he runs a podcast called From What If to What Next, and his latest book is called How to Fall in Love with the Future, A Time Traveller's Guide to Changing the World. So who, apart from Paul, who has listened to Rob speak in this room, has heard Rob speak? I thought there might be a few people's hands go up, or read his book, or listened to his audio books. Great. So we are going to use Rob's work to take you on a journey of your imagination. And in a little while, we're going to ask you to get really, really comfortable. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes of context, and then we're going to ask you to get a bit more comfortable. So you might like to be thinking about moving. You might like to lie down on the floor in 2 minutes' time. You might like to just be able to lean back against something, and I'm going to talk you through an imaginative journey. I'm going to ask you to time travel with us. So if I ask you to imagine a regenerative future school, a school in which all the people and the animals and the plants are all living in harmony and in balance with the natural world, you may not have that many collections of ideas about what that might look like, or what that might feel like, or what that might be like. What I'd like you to do now is to get comfortable, okay? I'd like you to get comfortable, and I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you would like to, because Rob Hopkins has built us a time machine. So we're going to invite you to time travel with us, courtesy of our good friend Rob Hopkins. From scrap metal and wood, repurposed materials that he's found in his workshop, Rob has built us all a time machine. And this afternoon we're going to invite you to take a journey in it into the future. Rob says that, a bit like sea travellers get their sea legs, if you practice time travel, you can get your time legs. So I'd like you to settle into a comfortable posture. Take a moment or two, close your eyes if that feels right. And I'd like you to take 2 long, slow breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Imagine that together we are stepping into a time machine. Not a shiny metal machine from a science fiction film, but a simple, homemade one. Our destination is a school in the year 2040. We set off, and soon after decelerating and descending, we gently land near the school and disembark together. Something truly extraordinary has happened. Sometime around 2028 or 2030, there was a cascade of events globally. Everything that climate educators and environmentalists around the world had been working towards has taken root. A profound reconception of how society functions is taking place. We've arrived in a future where the work that each one of you does now has flourished. So take a moment to look around. We are standing near a school. The first thing you notice is the lush green. There are mature trees offering shade and impressive expanses of young native forests. It looks much less tidy than today, and there are lots of long grasses and wild places. It feels much more diverse. We can see extensive allotments full of bright organic vegetables, and beyond that, orchards with heavy fruit. There are clouds of butterflies in the air. Thanks to the fact that there are significantly fewer cars on the road, The eternal hum of the internal combustion engine that we are so accustomed to has almost disappeared, and we can hear wildflowers humming with insects. Birdsong fills the air. It has a new kind of clarity to it, more shrill. We can hear birds that we don't even recognise. We are hearing the world around us with a greater subtlety and detail, a richer granularity. We begin to wander around the school. The school seems less like a building placed on the land and more like something that has grown from it. We can't really tell where the school begins. Listening, we can hear the sounds of children talking and laughing excitedly to one another, discussing and arguing agreeably. It sounds like people are having fun. We can hear the sound of someone playing the piano drifting outside. We can hear the sound of wood and metal being worked in workshops and of food being prepared in the kitchen. Now let's notice the air. Take a deep breath. What do you smell? The scent of warm timber from buildings made with renewable materials. The smell of fresh soil being tilled in the vegetable gardens and fruit ripening in the orchards. The smell of fresh bread being baked and drifting from somewhere nearby, and the smell of lunch cooking. The atmosphere smells rich and complex, the aroma of the future. Let's walk a little further. As we enter the school grounds, something else becomes apparent. Learning is happening everywhere. Groups of children and adults of all ages are learning together, under trees, in workshops, in gardens, in kitchens, in community spaces. The boundary between school and community has become beautifully blurred. Grandparents are sharing skills, local farmers are collaborating on projects, artists are working with students. Scientists, engineers, storytellers, ecologists and craftspeople are all part of the learning ecosystem. The school has become a thriving commons. A place where everybody belongs and everyone contributes. There is a purposeful sense of creativity and people enjoying their tasks. The school feels like a really good place to be. There is a sense of pride for the place and the relationships in people's eyes. Take a moment to absorb the atmosphere around you and really breathe it in. "2040 is no utopia, but it is no dystopia either. It is a work in progress." What surprises you? What gives you energy? What would you love to bring back with you? Hold that image. Hold that feeling. And now, slowly, we wander back to the time machine. We travel back through the years, back to today, 2026, to GroundEd, the Homestead, Northumberland. Please take your time to fully return, stretch if you'd like to, open your eyes slowly, have a drink of water if you need to, and welcome back to the homestead. I'm going to quote Rob Hopkins now. He says that by time travelling and by building memories of the future that we've created, we can cultivate a longing for the future in our hearts, our minds and our bones. So I feel that his teachings and his book are a kind of a North Star that could guide us towards this beautiful thing. And he does talk a lot about how we get there, which is some of the conversations that I've been listening to. And how we get there is through stories and through telling the stories of where this is actually already happening on Earth and all over our world. And in a way, you are part of that story because the work that you're doing is the beginning and is the seeds and is the foundations of these stories. And as Catherine said yesterday, telling the stories forward that cultivates the shift.
Where we want to take this next step is we want you to reflect on your own practice, your own work, and to think, how then can we be part of that movement to reach what we just visioned? So we want you to take a moment to reflect on your own work and your own sphere of influence. What is it that you can do? So it's almost like I'm starting to think, what next from here? And I know, Ros, it was already mentioned, you're starting to think through, actually, what is it can I take away from this weekend? How is it going to influence the things that I do moving forwards? So have a think, and we want you to verbalise that. We want you to tell the person that you've been talking to the thing that you're going to do when you leave this tent, when you leave Northumberland, and I'm
just saying here.
Maybe not Northumberland, but leaving the Homestead, when we leave Merrill alone. What is going to change that helps you to reach that, or help us all? And it's, I guess, also about that collective and the mutual support element as well. So to be conscious of what is it that you can do that also helps support other people in this room, and we collectively move towards that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop you there, just in those conversations. One of the questions that got raised is part of continuing this and keeping the community alive is, I'm looking at Meryl, hoping that you've not thought about this yet. At the Ministry of Eco-Education, we've got something called a network of activators, which has been this organic network of quite radical people that we've met along the way. And, you know, in essence, you being here, you are all activators. And we would be more than happy for that to be a space where people can kind of continue this momentum. And we really use that as a reciprocal space for mutual support and kind of. We do have meetings occasionally. I know Ian's talked about XR educators, and you know these networks exist. So that's that. To continue that community, there's obviously those avenues. You've been given booklets which have more information about a kind of a journey as well that schools can go on. If you want to find those questions, go to the website and they are all there. But otherwise, I'm really looking forward to see where all of these conversations over the last 2 days have gone.
But the people supporting young people need support too.
Okay, little groundlings, we're going to start with our last session. When we started doing this, I reached out to so many people, and Kerry was, you know, just one of those. I just thought, you know what, she'd be amazing. She lives down in Hertfordshire, and I was like, that's a long way. But I asked, and she said yes. So Kerry is a teacher. She's been a teacher. She left the classroom. We're in a climate emergency, if no one had noticed. But really wanted to work on well-being. And so I've gone in the, let's try and get things into school curricula, let's push it down their throats. Whereas Kerry's more, and I thought that would be a lovely way to end. So I'm handing over to Kerry Trevor.
Okay, so this will be interactive, and it is our last session. I'm sure for many reasons you're glad but equally sad in the same thoughts. There's been so much to think about and reflect on, hasn't there? So why am I here? Good question. I'm here because I work in human sustainability. I look at, it's not just scope 1, scope 2 or scope 3, it's scope 4, the avoided emissions. It's us. We're the most important resource. And we need to talk about that planetary sustainability. We talk about net zero, we talk about how if the humans are delivering it, but they're running on empty, how can we bring that back? So this might make some of you feel uncomfortable, but it's okay to feel uncomfortable. We've been having uncomfortable, awkward conversations. We have to find the confidence to understand. We've got to feel confident to have these awkward conversations. So I'm going to get you all to stand up. I've noticed through listening to all of these incredible experts, I feel incredibly lucky that I've been part of educators, authors, researchers. What a wealth of information. So I've had the privilege of being able to listen to everybody's thoughts, their experiences. And I'm here to talk about burnout to resilience. Now, I'm not asking any of you to be open if you don't want to tell me, but I burnt out many times because of how it's a lot of information to think about. And what we have to learn to do is to break it down into manageable chunks. And I think we've learned an awful lot of different tools while we've been here this weekend. Your heart and your mind, your body is telling you something. You wouldn't ignore the signs on a car if the diagnostics were going down. So when your body is telling you that there's pain, you have to listen to it. And it's okay to rest. We're in this consistent roller coaster of we've got to keep going. And that's exciting. I'm a really busy person. That's fantastic to have energy, but not to the detriment of yourself when you're trying to translate all of the wonderful knowledge you have. You've got to be mindful to yourself and be resilient and kind to your mind. I know there's somebody else at the back. Are you happy to share? Or kids?
Yeah. The first ever time I had a panic attack, I didn't know I was having one. I was probably about 11 years into teaching by that point. The head teacher, I had an open door policy. I used to love people coming into my classroom. She brought in a prospective family into the classroom, and I just had this feeling, and I didn't know what was going on. I felt short of breath. I felt all this kind of stuff. She came back in my free period. She said, she knew me very well. She said, "Kit, are you all right? Are you feeling all right?" Because I knew something was not quite right. Yet the parents and the child loved your lesson, by the way. So nobody, but she noticed. And I described. I said, "Nick, this." She said, "I know exactly what you've had. You've had a panic attack." I said, "I've never had one of those in my life." And then from that, I had them regularly after that.
Yeah, and that's it. And you're really brave to share that, because I've had them, and it's really frightening, isn't it? It's you feel like you're going to die. Sorry if that triggers anybody, by the way, but it's really terrifying, and it's eco-anxiety that did that to me, and it's managing to. Through breath work, a lot of practitioners here and experts have been using breath work. It's managing to catch that panic and hold it and use those consistent habits so you know that's what the feeling is happening, but then it's stopping it and preventing it from turning into pain and turning that pain into purpose. So we're looking at connection, and that's part of my 3 C's, my 3 pillars, and that underpins my work. And I probably haven't explained actually how I work, because like you, I have many hats. So I work in a 2-fold approach. I'm a sustainability business consultant, I'm a carbon literacy consultant, so it means I can obviously train people in carbon literacy. I'm not a carbon expert, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I study human sustainability and behaviour change. So that's how I work in business and in corporations, because they need lots of that help. They need lots of that help and guidance in how to support us and our mission through ESG and CSR. And that's how they should help fund all of us in our mission and our model that we're working on to have healthier, sustainable lives for all of us and for ourselves. And then I'm also now working on Green Hearts and Minds, which is obviously why we're connecting ourselves back to each other, and that's a regenerative nature-based programme, and that's going to be delivered into primary schools from September. And I've written a climate and emotional literacy story that complements that as a structured storytelling tool that children can connect to, and it's through the eyes of of animals out in nature. So that's how I work. And there is something obviously quite childlike about me. I've had lots of therapy, so it's and therapy is very useful, by the way. Everyone should have it. I have therapy, I have coaching all the time to help me to deal with all of the work that I'm doing and how to manage it, because we are not AI, we are not robots. And so it's connection, consistency and communication. When we consistently communicate, we'll always stay connected. Okay, so you need to put your hands on either your tummy or onto your chest, and you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, so breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth. You're going to do this 3 times. So breathing in and breathing out, and feel what your body is telling you. What does your body feel like right now? You don't have to talk about it, you're just thinking about it. What can you feel in your body right now? I'd like you to breathe in one more time, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now what we're going to do is, some of you may have practiced this before, and it's called a butterfly scan. So what you're going to do is, you're going to visualise the power of visualisation. Visualise your own butterfly. What does that butterfly look like to you? What size is it? Does it have patterns? What colour is it? And when you have that, I'd like you to think about your butterfly has just now landed on the tips of your toes. Maybe you can wriggle your toes to feel that. Maybe you won't, because the butterfly is so light. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now the butterfly is just going to move and gently fly and land onto your knees. Think about that for a moment. What does that feel like? Can you feel that you're connected to your body right now? You can hear the wonderful sounds of nature outside, and you are calm. You are safe. You are well. And now your butterfly is going to just move gently again and fly and land onto your stomach. We are so lucky. How lucky are we to have been fed all weekend with delicious food that's nourished not only our soul but our body, to give us the energy to keep learning. Think about how grateful you are that your body works in such a beautiful way that you are able to sustain yourself. Just think about that. Think about how incredible your body is, how it moves, how it's working. And say thank you in your mind to your tummy. Thank you. Thank you for the food. Thank you for keeping me well. And now your butterfly is going to now just move from that fabulous part of your body, just moving from your tummy up to your chest. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. My goodness, how wonderful that your heart is beating. How lucky are you to feel in this moment, in this time. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. your butterfly now will move and land onto your chin. Very slowly and gently, don't make any sudden movement. Put your fingers, your 2 fingers, onto your jaw. Just massage, just a little bit, your jaw. Careful not to move your butterfly. Just massage your jaw. Feel that feeling. And then put your hands back down. And breathe through your nose. And out through your mouth. The butterfly's going to move and land on your head. Wow, what a beautiful place that is. Your mind. You control that. Where you control the controllables. Where you can store information, but you also need to let that go. And you need to let go of things that just are out of your control, that you just cannot, you don't need to worry about. You are here, you are now, you are safe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And all the thoughts that have popped up, that have been running through your mind, that potential negative narrative, whatever it might be thinking, is now your butterfly is going to take it. It's going to take all of it. And it's going to just fly away. So let that happen. Let it go. Take a deep breath in. And blow it all away. And gently start to open your eyes. Coming back to this moment. And when you feel ready, I'd like you to find a safe sitting space. Anybody else? You don't have to share. It's absolutely fine. And it's finding those tools and those techniques to be able to manage your own mind. And I am a mindset and burnout coach because it's happened to me, as I said many times. So it's looking at what will you do to stop yourself from overanalyzing how you are working, or you're going to be potentially given more work to do. I mean, you're all educators here. It's a busy place you work in. It's things happening to you all of the time. It's learning to put boundaries in place. No is a full sentence. That's okay to say no. It took me a long time. You can see I'm naturally not someone who would like to not people please, but people pleasing was depleting me. And we want to continue to be able to use this energy that we are trying to create, this mindset movement. So it's saying to whoever's in control of your project, you know, the funders, the investors, or whoever it might be, your head teacher, the principal, whoever is potentially in control of your day, you are okay and safe to say no. I can't do that. I'd like to, but no, I can't. And that's equally okay. You don't have to work till 11 o'clock in the evening. I've been there, cutting out all sorts of things the next day because there's nobody else to prepare those resources. It's putting those clear boundaries in place. You don't have to answer that WhatsApp at 6 o'clock in the evening. Close it, archive it. You don't have to. You are in control of your mind. You're in control of your own lifestyle, and one size doesn't fit all. Oh, I thought you was clapping me now. I thought, I've done really well. And it's time to go. No, it's as I'm trying to share with you here. It's finding these tools that you can, utilise to have consistent healthy habits. It takes 21 days. You probably know this. 21 days to break a habit. 66 or 63, depending on which professor you want to, or depending on the fantastic guy I did I can't say this word. I can never say it, put my teeth in. Hang on. Yeah. 10 minutes, he said. And actually, taking part of that activity did realign me. And so when people say, oh, I can't put in these new consistent habits, I can't change the way I'm doing things, but do you have 10 minutes to do mindful walking. There's been so many fantastic engagement activations here. You can go and do 10 minutes walking outside, forest bathing. You can do those things. You are in control of doing that. So it's today saying to yourself, I can. I'm going to put these new habits in place. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to let myself burn out, because I need to keep this energy going, and that's the most important thing you can do. It's remind yourself, I do this morning and night. I'm sure my neighbours must think I'm absolutely crackers, and I probably potentially am in some ways, but I quite like it. It's like I'll go and stand in my garden and I'll ground, and tell myself and say out loud how grateful I am. So I want you just to, using your hands, I want you to touch your toes, if you can. Touch your toes and say thank you. Thank you for my toes, to being able to walk. How lucky we are. We're so lucky to be able to walk. We are so lucky. Thank you to my legs being able to move me every single day. Pat your calves. Thank you very much. Thank you thighs for sustaining me, keeping me going and moving and dancing. Thank you, as you did in your butterfly scan, to your tummy. Thank you for being an incredible model to break down all of the food that we've eaten and to be able to work in its system that it does. It's incredible. We are an incredible vessel. Thank you to your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Can you feel your heart beating? If you can't, you're in trouble. Thank goodness you're alive. It's reminding yourself you are alive. You are here. You are now. And put your hands on your head, onto your top of your head here. Thank you so much for being able to store so much information. And now put your hands on your face for me. Put your hands onto your eyes. And I'd like to say this out loud. Thank you, I can see. Hands on your ears. Thank you, I can hear. Hands onto your lips. Thank you, I can talk. Something I do very well. And put your hands just on your arms and put your other hand around your other arm, and just give yourself a really big squeeze, big hug, a really big green hug. Thank you. Tell yourself thank you. Thank you for looking after me. Thank you, body, for looking after me.
Climate education doesn't have to be heavy. A lot of those little stories and anecdotes in that book are based on truth that I had as laughter and collaboration with the young people, and I admire them fully for being able to just try and get through the English education system. They do need people like us, believe me. So, teachers, I've got you here on a Saturday afternoon. Bless your cotton socks. This is we're used to twilight CPD, but tonight, actually, if you look up at our globe up here and the stars around it, it's a different type of twilight. Sit with that for a second. It's the summer solstice. Earth's axial tilt is at 23.44 degrees towards the sun. The longest day, and doesn't it feel like it? But the shortest night. Our pale blue dot. We are the only living organisms. Well, the only living organisms we know of are here in this planet. Some of them are in the field right now, and please check yourself for ticks, because Jeff found one on his toes. So we are sharing the space with lots of living organisms. You don't know what your future holds. Did I foresee this? No, not in a million years. I thought I didn't even think I was going to do music festivals, but I've done that too. We can change. We are changing. We are all growing still. I am 57. I am still growing, and it's not just the shape of my arse. Nice. You laughed at the arse joke. And that's not even written down. Me free-forming it. The answer is, if we build it, they will come. This was an idea in my head. I spoke with my husband, who's a genius and glorious man, an incredibly talented builder. I wasn't sure you'd come, but you did, and I'm incredibly grateful. The facilities are slightly basic, and it's not an apology. We try and walk the talk. You know, we don't need glamour. There's normally just 2 of us on this site. We try and show how to be sustainable. We planted 1,000 trees. Actually, he's planted most of them. I planted about 10. We stopped flying. We have solar PV. We've got a renewable tariff. We've got ground source heat pump. We grow 50% of our fruit and veg. We're not perfect, and that's really important to say. I might have a big green heart, but I occasionally eat meat, and actually, I've been having cow milk in my tea for the last couple of days. I'm really sorry. But it's being honest, you know, and we aren't perfect, but I have reduced the amount of meat I eat. I have, you know, stopped buying new shit that I don't need, and those are lessons to learn. We know that the climate is already affecting our crops. We can see it. We have a lack of pollinators related to the biodiversity crisis. It's real and it's hard to see. But there is joy here, and I'm really, really happy to share that stubborn, defiant joy and our growing community. I have 2 worlds that have collided here. We may only have one planet, but my beautiful, beautiful crew and my family have been here for many, many times doing our Homestead gathering, and I said, I have a plan. And they all said, yes, let's. And I am so, so grateful, because bringing my working community, bringing the people that I work with, and the fact that I think that the climate education is key to a just transition. Those 2 worlds collided, and it could have been an explosion and a terrible, terrible thing. We could have ended up in a black hole of doom, and that was just the composting toilets. We feel alive. We feel tired, but we feel alive. I loved the future time travel. I didn't know. They said, we're not telling you what we're doing, and I loved it because I have seen that. And this is the CPD of the future. We are already living it. It is here, and we are it. It's not a rehearsal. It has to happen now. And it's this education system we have to fight for, and that takes being brave, it takes being courageous, it takes talking to SLT and putting your neck on the line. I've seen I've tried to go in a bit hard. Maybe don't go in so hard, because I got called out by Guido Fawkes and it was a bit scary. But it doesn't happen, change won't happen individually, it'll happen collectively. We know that collective action can then lead to system change. We can send ripples out from the amazing, amazing work and organisations that have been represented here into schools, into staff rooms, and way up into government. We shouldn't have to, play in the national curriculum early years. That's it. Yeah. I've played this weekend, actually not even the weekend, Friday and Saturday. And I think play is really, really important. So it feels like a small act of reclamation. We know that understanding about food is really, really a serious issue. We know food security is going to be a huge, huge impact on young people. Growing apple trees is a really, really good way, but obviously we need to keep that side for the adults.
As a kind of note, I found a crate of the 2-year-olds.
Okay, so we are partying tonight, so there's cider.
All of those who tasted the 4-year-old and the 3-year-old and are curious to find out what the 2-year-old said.
Or just lie and turn up and say, I was there.
I actually kept a close count on who was there.
Soil literacy, and there isn't any nearly in the national curriculum, and it makes my heart bleed, because soil is vital to life on Earth. So Oasis did a great little workshop on that. Things like climate action, we had an Ellie for another way, but it's been brought up time and time again by Oasis and everybody. Just, we need young people. We need to facilitate and enable young people to take action. It is critical. But then we need to think about our own minds and well-being. So craftivism, trying to get little digs in there about, nurturing nature and saving the bees. Nature journalism. So Charlotte, Fiona and Jane, National Education Park, absolutely thank you for your time. Slowness is a radical act. Being slow is radical. And creativity is activism too. Play and humour, we had Hannah with the early years, which I know she had brought loads of little wooden things. Brad from Kappa Pi, well worth checking out the Kappa Pi resources if you work with your Key Stage 2. Emily, bless your cotton socks, you entertained us on stage, but the joy on the faces of the junk percussion lot was just amazing. Annabelle and Ruth from Messages in the Wild, the feedback was glorious. It doesn't have to be heavy. We know that. Humour is part of being human. The well-being side of things, the Willow work with Liz, people are so proud of their little bird feeders. Oh my goodness. Forest bathing with oases. David and his recalibrator. When I knew I was doing this, I was like, I need David. Fantastic. We can't support young people through hard things if we're not supported ourselves. There is a network of people here. Please, lean on each other when you need them. But that nature observation, the citizen science, that outdoor learning. So we've had Simone from the Tyne River Trust, Sammy from Wild About Nature, thank you so much, Alex from the Northumberland Wildlife Trust, and Helen from Spring Science, just sharing some of their wisdom and understanding of how we can get young students connected. But also, citizen science, our planet is changing so rapidly that scientists can't keep up with data collection. So if you can get involved with a data collection program, a citizen science program, you might really help. Even if that's just counting the butterflies or just counting the bees, all of that data is really, really important. It can absolutely, like Blair's words yesterday were, it made you really think, but then that rave scene of, absolutely get up and dance. It's how we process what's too big for words sometimes. And my husband will laugh at that because he doesn't think I like music that much, but I really do. So the delegates, once again, don't let this be the end of something, although I'm not promising I'll do GroundEd too, but, I need to speak to my husband about that. Let it be the beginning of something. So if you have made change, biochar workshop next time. Oh, okay. He's already excited. So don't let this be the end of something, make those connections, build those connections. The Ministry of Eco-Education Activators is something special. The non-human people we share this site with, the birds, the animals, mammals, insects, amphibians, plants, fungi, this was their home before it was ours. They didn't ask us to come. They'll be glad of the quiet when you leave. They probably don't want a hug, but they deserve a moment of acknowledgement. The world is still alive, and it's asking us to take better care of it. You have been thoroughly grounded, and you've got a whole night of partying, and it's the shortest night of the year. So enjoy tonight. You do need time to have fun, because having fun is incredibly important to keep our mental health going. Know you are loved. Know there are people there for you. And know that there are an incredible number of reasons why we need to keep going. So thank you so much. This has been GroundEd. The night is yet young.
And that's the end of this 2-part Coffee and Geography special. We'll leave you there at the Homestead with musician Emily Lawler. Thanks for listening.
Hey there, honey, you're looking low, overthinking everything that you don't know, cutting out parts of you to fit the status quo and live up to expectations. Wasting so much time trying to rearrange your life from what you think they think is normal or strange. You've written about things that you can't change, and it's not worth your while. Come on, honey, take a walk with me. Take a look at everything you're gonna be. Count your blessings now, 1, 2, 3. You gotta stick around for tomorrow. Though you've been telling everyone you're doing fine, you're exhausting all your energy to stay in line. It's about time you let your bright light shine and guide you in a new direction. 'Cause sure as the sun and the stars above, you'll make it to the place you're dreaming of. Keep your heart full of color and love, and let the good times roll. Come on, honey, take a walk with me. Take a look at everything you're gonna be. Count your blessings now, 1, 2, 3. You've gotta stick around for tomorrow. luxury you may not get. So start living in the present, 'cause you'll find that life goes by in a wink. So don't pencil in your dreams, write them down in ink. Stop trying to please folks who don't even think about you. Do what makes you happy. Come on, honey, take a walk with me. Take a look at everything you're gonna be. Count your blessings now, 1 to 3. You've gotta stick around for tomorrow. Things get better, just wait and see. Look at how good they turn out to be. No matter what is happening currently, you've gotta stick around for tomorrow.